Hello everyone, my name is Amaka and you're welcome to Lizama Stitches. In this tutorial, we are going to be learning how to make this beautiful short circle pants you're seeing on the screen. Now, if you're yet to subscribe to this channel, please click on the subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I upload new videos. So let's get started.
So now, I'm going to be taking my measurement now. By the side, I'm going to mark 6 inches from the side. 6 inches from the side. I'm going to connect the points. Now from this point, I'm going to mark 6 inches. I'm also going to mark 6 inches from this point. Now take note, what I'm using for this tutorial is 1.5 yards of fabric. This is an African print fabric. I'm using 1.5 yards of fabric for this tutorial. So from this upper part, I'm marking 6 inches. And I'll connect the points. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take my waist measurement. Now I'm going to impute my waist measurement. Now for me to do that, I'm going to divide my waist circumference by 3. Now I'm dividing my waist circumference by 3 because this is a flare pant. So that's why I'm dividing it by 3. So my waist circumference is 32 inches. 32 divided by 3 gives you 10.6 inches. But I'm going to use 10.75 instead. So from this point, I'm going to mark 10.75, just like when you're cutting a circle. Now take note, my fabric is not folded. I did not fold my fabric into two. This is just a single fabric. So now I'm going to mark 10.75 from this point. I'm going to mark 10.75. And I'll connect the points. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to take the length of my short. The length of my short is 15 inches. So from this point, I'm going to mark 15 inches from this point. Now my short is going to have band. My short is going to have band. So now I'm going to minus, now my band is 1.5 inches. So this is my 1.5 inches. I'm going to place it on this line while I mark my 15 inches. So this is my 15 inches. 15 inches for my band plus 1 inch which I'm going to use to hem it. That gives you 16 inches. So I'm going to rotate. Now I'm going to rotate this 16 inches. Just like when I'm going to rotate this 16 inches. Now, to have a perfect curve, I'm going to rotate it from this line. So from here to here is 25 inches. So I'm going to mark 25 inches to this point. Now I'm going to impute my crotch depth. Now for you to get your crotch depth, all you need to do is to divide your hip circumference by 4. Whatever it gives you, that's your crotch depth. Now my hip circumference is 40 inches. 40 divided by 4 gives you
10 inches.
Now because this is a free pant, I'm going to add 1.5 inches to it for ease. Now 1.5 inches for ease, which means my crotch depth, the crotch depth I'm working with is going to be 11.5 inches. Now my crotch depth is 10 inches. 10 inches plus 1.5 inches for ease. Because now this is a free pant and I want it to be free. I want it to be free around the crotch. I don't want the crotch to be tight. So I'm adding 1.5 inches to it. So that gives you 11.5 inches. To get the crotch extension, I'm going to divide my crotch depth by 4. Now my crotch depth divided by 4 gives you 2.8. Gives you 2.8 inches. So I'm going to mark 2.8 inches here. Now I'm going to connect this point. So this is my crotch extension. Now the next thing I'm going to, now on this point, I'm going to check what I have here. Now I'm going to from this point, I'm going to minus ½ inch from what I have here. And I'll mark it here. I'll mark it on the hem. And I'll connect the points. While I'll connect this point to this point with my curved ruler. You can also do this with your free hand. I'm using my curved ruler for it. So this is my crotch extension. Now this is the front crotch. Now for the back crotch, I'm going to mark my crotch measurements on this line. That is my hip circumference divided by 4 plus 1.5 inches for ease. That gives you 11.5 inches. So now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to divide my crotch measurement. I'm going to divide my crotch measurement by 4. Now this is my crotch measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch for ease. You know the back panel is usually bigger than the front panel. The back panel is usually bigger than the front panel. So I'm going to add 1 inch for ease. And that puts me here. So I'm going to connect this point with a horizontal line. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to minus 1 inch. Now from here, I'm going to minus 1 inch from what I have here. I'll minus 1 inch from what I have here, and I'll mark it here. So I'll connect the point. I'll connect this point to this point. Now I'm going to add my seam allowance. So I'll connect this point to this point with the curved part of my ruler. I'm going to connect this point to this point. So this is the back crotch. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add my seam allowance. I'll add my seam allowance. Now on the waist, I'm going to add ½ inch seam allowance, which I'm going to use to join the band. I'm going to use to attach the band to the pants. I'm going to add 1 inch seam allowance here. Here, I'm going to add 1 inch zipper allowance. Now my zip is going to be at the back. So I'm adding 1 inch zipper allowance. I'm adding 1 inch seam allowance here. So now I'm going to cut it. I'll cut off this part. So after that, I'm going to turn this way. I'll place it this way. Now the back is going to be 1 inch bigger. The back is going to be 1 inch bigger. So this is 1 inch. Place it in such a way that the back is going to be 1 inch bigger. I'll cut it. So this is the front panel and this is the back panel. So with this, I'm going to cut the second one and I'm going to use this one to cut the second one. So now my fabric, now this is the right side of my fabric and this is the right side of my fabric. So when placing your fabric, place it, if you're placing it on the right side, let it be right side facing right side. Let the right side be facing the right side. Now this is right side facing right side. If you do it the other way around, if you do it this way, you've spoiled your fabric. You've spoiled it. So let it be right side facing right side. So I'm going to cut it. Now take note, this is my back panel. This is the back panel. For the back, I'm going to sew with 1 inch. I have 1 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to sew the crotch with 1 inch seam allowance and I'll stop here. Now when I stop here, I'll sew and stop here. And I'm going to mark from here. From here, I'm going to mark 6 inches. I'm going to mark 6 inches for my zipper. Let me notch it. 6 inches for my zipper. And after sewing the 1 inch to this point, I'm going to loosen this part. I'll loosen this part and I'll attach my zipper. My zipper is going to be at the back. So I'm going to attach my zipper here. Now for this one, this is the front. This is the front panel. I'm going to sew with 1 inch. I'm going to sew with 1 inch to this point. Then when I sew with 1 inch to this point, I'm going to trim off ½ inch. I'll trim off ½ inch so that when I iron it, it will relax well. So I'm going to do it and show you the outcome. I'm going to place my hand this way. Now from here, I'm going to mark 8 inches for my pocket opening. 8 inches for my pocket opening. So I'm going to place my hand this way and I'll mark. There are no rules to this thing. Just do your thing. Put your hand and cut your pocket. So I'm going to cut it. So I'm going to use this to cut out 3 more because I need 4 of these. I've sewn the crotch. I've sewn the crotch. See what I have here after sewing. So this is the back panel, and I've also sewn the front. I've also sewn the crotch. So this is the front panel. Now the next thing I'm going to do is this. I'm going to dip in the front. I'm going to dip in the front crotch. Now for me to do that, from here, I'm going to go down by. So I'm going to go down by ½ inch. I'll go down by ½ inch. And I'll connect it to this point. So I'm going to cut it. So this is the front panel. Now this is it. I'm going to keep it aside. Now for the back. So this is the back. I told you that I'm going to open this. I'm going to open now. I'm going to open this. I'm going to loosen this part and stop here so that I can attach my zipper. So now I've stopped here. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to fix my zipper. I'll fix my zipper and I'll fix my zipper. So after that, I'm going to attach the pocket. Let me show you how to fix the pocket. Now this is my pocket and I have 4 pieces here. This is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I have 4 pieces here. Now let me show you how to attach your pocket. So I'm going to bring this. Now I'm going to bring one of these. From here, I'm going to go down by 2 inches. 2 inches below the waist. And I'll fix the. So I'm going to fix. Now this is the right side of my short. This is the right side of my pants. So I'm going to fix the pocket this way. Now this is my pocket. This is right side facing right side. I'm going to place it this way and I'll sew. I'm going to sew with 1/2 inch seam allowance. Let me illustrate with pin. Now after sewing with 1/2 inch seam allowance, I'll push the seam allowance to the pocket and I'll top stitch. Now the same way I'm going to do here, the same thing I did here, that's what I'm going to do here. And I'm also going to do on these other ones, on the front panel. So this is the back panel. I've fixed the zipper. This is the zipper. So this is the front panel. Now this is what I'm going to do. I've fixed the pockets. I'm going to place the front panel on the back panel, right side facing right side, and I will sew. So this is how I'm going to sew it. I'll sew with 1 inch seam allowance. I'm going to sew here with 1 inch seam allowance. And I'll sew to the hem. Now the same thing I'm going to do here. I'm also going to sew here. And I'll sew it to the hem. Now, you'll notice that the back panel is bigger than the front panel. That's how it's supposed to be. The back panel is supposed to be bigger than the front panel. So after that, after sewing it that way, I'm going to bring this part. Now I've reduced the seam allowance on the crotch so that the crotch can sit very well when I iron it. Now I'm going to bring the I'm going to hold here and I'll bring the back panel too. The back panel, I've also reduced the seam allowance on the back panel so that the crotch can relax well. After attaching the zipper, I have to reduce the allowance so that the crotch can relax well. Another way you can do this is by notching. You can just notch it. If you notch it and iron it, it will relax well. Though I've not ironed mine. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to sew here. I'm going to sew here with 1 inch seam allowance. I'm going to sew here with 1 inch seam allowance. What I left here is 1 inch seam allowance. I'm going to sew here with 1 inch seam allowance. So I'll do it and show you the outcome. So this is what I have after sewing. This is the back panel and this is the front. So now I'm going to attach the band. Now this is the band. So this is how I'm going to attach the band. I've ironed interfacing on the band. And I ironed in 1/2 inch on this part. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sew 1/2 inch on this part. I'm going to bring this. I'm going to leave 1/2 inch seam allowance here, which I'm going to use to sew here later. So I'm leaving half inch seam allowance here. Now I'm going to sew this. I'll sew it round. I'm going to sew it round. After sewing it round, then I'm going to turn it and place this one. Place this on it like this, and I'll top stitch. I'll top stitch round. After which, now for this part, I'm going to sew this part. I'm going to turn this part this way, and I'll sew with half inch seam allowance. And when I sew with half inch seam allowance and I pull it, I'll turn it to the right side. So I'm going to sew round, and I'll come to this point. So this is the band. Now I've attached the band with half inch. I've closed in this part. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew it. Now I'm going to sew here. I'll sew here. Now when I get to this point, I'm going to turn this way. I'll turn this way and I'll sew. After sewing, I'll turn it to the right. I'll turn it to the right side. So I'll do it and show you the outcome. So I'm done sewing. Now I've attached my piece. Another way you can do this is by fixing your band first. Fix your band first, then you fix your zipper to this point. That's another way to do this thing. If you do it that way, you will not bother about using hook and eye. You will not bother about using hook and eye, but I used hook and eye to finish my band. That's what I did. So I'm just going to hook it, and this is when I hook it. This is how it's going to be. So this is the back, and this is the front. So this is my pocket. My pocket is an inner pocket. Now I'm going to do this again, but it's going to be a pant trouser. The pocket is going to be like a normal trouser pocket. It's not going to be an inner pocket. So I'd like you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that whenever I upload that video, you will be among the first people to watch it. So that's just it with this tutorial. If you found this tutorial helpful, please click on the like button. Share this video with your friends. Share this video in your sewing groups. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so. Feel free to ask questions. I'll be in the comment section to answer all your questions. We've come to the end of this tutorial. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.